Sometime when I listen, even myself, when I listen to these recordings, I might be scrolling on the phone or something else, or my mind is wandering off. So I suggest that we can truly set some time aside and pay attention to His Word, because it's always so rich and so refreshing. Not scolding, just a suggestion. We continue today with Mark. We are in chapter 13 this time, and we read from verse 1 to verse 8. As he was going out of the temple, one of his disciples said to him, "Teacher, behold, what wonderful stones and what wonderful buildings." And Jesus said to him, "Do you see these great buildings? Not one stone will be left upon another which will not be torn down." As he was sitting on the Mount of Olives opposite the temple, Peter and James and John and Andrew were questioning him privately. "Tell us, when will these things be? And what will be the sign when all these things are going to be fulfilled?" And Jesus began to say to them, "See to it that no one misleads you. Many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and he will mislead many. When you hear of wars and rumors of wars, do not be frightened. Those things must take place, but that is not yet the end. For nation will rise up against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be earthquakes in various places. There will also be famines. These things are merely the beginning of birth pangs." The Jewish temple was magnificent, and for many Jews of that day, it had become an idol to the point that they swore by it. The outside court was 500 yards long and 400 yards wide, and took more than 80 years to build. The retaining wall was formed by quarried blocks of limestone 50 feet wide, 25 feet high, and 15 feet deep, weighing about 1 million pounds each. Modern construction equipment would struggle to lift these stones. The remodeled temple was completed only 7 years before it was destroyed. As great as the temple was, Jesus never hesitated to claim that he was greater than the temple, like we saw previously in Matthew 12:6. Esteemed scholars argue that this talk is Jesus' direct answer to the disciple question, "When will this happen?" Meaning the destruction of the temple. Some 40 years after Jesus said this, there was a widespread Jewish revolution against the Romans in Palestine, and the rebels enjoyed many early successes. Rome crushed the Jews in 70 AD, and Jerusalem was leveled, including the temple, exactly as Jesus had predicted. It is said that at the fall of Jerusalem, the Roman soldiers surrounded it, and one drunken soldier started a fire that soon engulfed the whole building. The gold work in the roof melted down through the cracks between the stone walls of the temple. And to retrieve the gold, the Roman commander ordered that the temple be dismantled stone by stone. There are two ways of interpreting Mark 13 based on the timing of the fulfillment of the prophecies. One states that they were fulfilled with the siege of Jerusalem in 70 AD. The other refers to the tribulation in our future. Some think it is a mix of both. So there is the preterism, which teaches that all biblical prophecy has been fulfilled. They look at Jesus' words in Mark 13:30, where he says, "Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place." And then we have futurism, which teaches that many of the prophecies in Daniel, in Revelation, and the Olivet Discourse have yet to come true. Jesus warns about false messiahs to come, and indeed there were false ones even before him, as well as after. Names like Simon of Perea, Theudas, Arthrogens, and Bar Kokhba, who headed the third Jewish revolt against the Romans. And this fits in with the wars and rumor of wars, since Jewish revolts against the Romans lasted 4 years. And when Nero had enough of the Jews, he dispatched Vespasian and Titus to quench them in what became the famous siege of Jerusalem. And we also know of earthquakes and famine during these 40 years. Even Mount Vesuvius near Naples was shaken in 62 AD. Earthquakes continue for years until the magma finally erupted in AD 79, destroying Pompeii, if you've been there. And if you haven't, you should visit. It's worth it. And Josephus, the historian of the first century, makes mention of a terrible famine which occurred 45 AD. Luke writes about famine at Antioch and other Roman posts during the reign of Emperor Claudius from 41 to 54 AD. Reflection. If Jesus' prediction about the temple were so detailed and occurred, his prediction about his return is also trustworthy. Times we get concerned about the end. We ask, when will it be? But he also told us that it's not up to us to know. We will see signs. But technically, it could be tomorrow. It could be 100 years from now. We don't know. So help us to be ready at any time. That's our prayer. Amen. Dear friend, live today as if it was your last day. No regrets. And I will see you tomorrow. Ciao.